And in 4 months, we went from 0 to 109,000 a month in just 4 months. And it was like, I think entrepreneurs don't understand how much we get in our own way a lot. So when I look back, I'm like, wow, I didn't understand where people needed to be and what their personal agenda and goals and what they want and where they're best. Every failure in the company is my fault. Did I not work with them in leadership? Did I not help that person with better marketing strategy? It all comes back to me ultimately. Entrepreneurs are so controlling for the most part. Delegating is tough because they just want to control the whole situation. Yeah. It's amazing that you cannot have any more control than the fact that everything's your fault.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to The Business Game,
a podcast that moves the needle. You know, Steve, I've been thinking, if I could clone myself, I'd finally get through my inbox.
Yeah, that's true. Or you could just call Tyler Offshore, right? They basically do that, but better.
True. They match businesses with top-tier remote talent, customer service, admin, even SaaS development.
Yep. Scale your team, cut your costs, and Kalina, keep your sanity.
And their people feel like part of your own team, just without the extra desks.
Yeah, exactly right. Head to tyleroffshore.com to get your new superstar team member onboarded in just a week. Thanks to Tyler Offshore for supporting The Business Game.
Hello, and welcome to The Business Game, a podcast that moves the needle. I'm Kalina Stano.
And I'm Jamie Alotta.
Before we get started today, make sure to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Steve is taking some time off, so we are very lucky to have one of our OG hosts, Jamie, back in the chair over the next few episodes. Thanks so much for being here with us, Jamie.
Thank you. It's a little bit strange being back here. But today, which is very exciting, we're joined by Joe Rare. Now, Joe, you're the founder of Level 9 Virtual. Joe is a serial entrepreneur who has built and scaled multiple seven-figure businesses, buying back his own time through systems, delegation, and removing himself from day-to-day operations. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm so excited to jump into this conversation
So
with you.
So am I, actually. And Joe, just before we even kick off, I have to say, when we were prepping, I'm like, you've got the coolest name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can I just talk to you as Joe Rare all the time? Is that, can I address you as Joe Rare? Because it's so cool.
It is very cool. Do you get that a lot, Joe?
Usually it's like, oh, what a rare last
name. Oh,
name.
yeah. And you're like,
yeah. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. It's a normal response that I get. And I think my kids are starting to get it now too.
Oh,
so,
no,
yeah, they would be.
Yeah, lucky them.
Now, in a moment, we're going to get into all the plates that you have spinning. But before we get into that, for anyone meeting you for the very first time, what's the elevator pitch explanation for what you actually do, Joe?
I build businesses. Yeah, I build businesses.
There you go. That's great.
That's really it. My goal is to build a business, get it to the point that someone else can run it, my team, and then I can simply be a strategic advisor and an investor. And so my whole goal is to build the business to that point so that then I can just be an advisor and an investor, and then I can do something else.
Okay. So when we did that amazing intro for you just earlier, we touched on the fact that you've built multiple seven-figure businesses already, but you're not worshipping the hustle culture. What was the moment that made you realize that working harder wasn't particularly the right answer for you?
I did it. I did the hustle culture. I owned a business, the first business I ever owned. I worked kind of on average between 14 and 16 hours a day. And, I was young, so who cares, right? I was only, 22 years old. I sold that company at the age of 22, not for any big exit. I probably got taken advantage of because I was 22 and an idiot, but I had built this business from nothing. And we were doing, I think at the time I sold it, we were doing like 3.8 million a year in gross revenue. And we had some okay margin on it, but I was able to take that experience and realized like, I just don't want to go into the office. I don't want to do this every single day. Not to say that I didn't sell that business, then go hustle my butt off for the next decade, because I did. But the moment that we had kids, there is no more hustle, because the only thing that matters is that I'm the one who gets to hold my daughter. It's not a daycare. It's, and so being at home, being able to take care of kids, being able to be with my wife, and that was the biggest thing, the biggest motivator. And so realizing that that's the only thing that I wanted, I decided to figure out a way to build businesses without having to operate them. I guess is the easiest way to say it.
It's amazing how when you have a family, because both Kalina and myself, we have children, how that penny sort of drops, isn't it? Where it's like, I don't want daycare raising my child. I want to be the one doing that. I want to be the one bringing them up, shaping them into this human being. So I guess for maybe a lot of entrepreneurs who are in that hustle, that are, go, 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 and then they do have kids, that probably is a defining moment for, I would say, a lot of them.
I think so. I mean, I would hope so. I would hope that parents have that desire, that deep desire to be there for literally everything.
Yeah.
And, kind of my belief around business is that most people start businesses with the intent to have freedom of time. And, they want financial freedom and they want all that, but the freedom of the time is what they want. And the unfortunate reality is probably 99% of business owners don't have any.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the scary part.
Yeah.
And so
absolutely.
I just decided to just build businesses differently. I had the lifestyle that I wanted, and I was going to carve out, or I was going to have to build the business around that lifestyle so that I didn't have to later go try to carve it out. And so that was kind of my philosophy.
Love that. So I know you own wedding venues, 4 digital businesses, and also are building a real estate portfolio, which sounds like it would keep you very busy.
Busy enough, yep.
Yes, yeah. Plus
you
kids.
Don't want more?
No, yeah. Let's throw some more on that
kids.
plate of yours.
Yeah.
But so, like you've said, you run those businesses remotely through outsourcing and systems. So how much time per day or week are you spending actually in the weeds of those businesses?
It's tough to say, because it's typically, if I got a project going on, while my kids are busy doing the things that they do, that they're, if they, we homeschool our kids, but they do a hybrid school, so that 2 days a week they go to actually school and they have teachers and all that stuff. And then, so during those days, I mean, I got the whole day. It's like, well, what am I going to do? It's like, I can grind through projects. So it really depends on what I have going on. 5 years ago, we packed up and we moved locations. And when we got here, I took a year off. And so I didn't work for a year. I would have kind of once every couple of weeks, I'd have a meeting with the team and just kind of planning and strategic, all that. But I didn't work. And so it's like, what do I do? Well, it just depends if I'm working on a new project. Sometimes if I work on a new project, I'll be head down and I work like everybody else, like a lot every day. But then at the same time, I've never missed a single thing my kids do. I've never missed a single thing my nephews or my nieces do or anything else. Like, we do everything with family and everything. So it's tough to say. It just depends what I have going on. But my goal is to never miss anything with my kids. That's it.
That's a great goal to have, because I think as a parent, and I know a lot of through all the people that we've chatted to and the guests that we've had, there does seem to be sort of a bit of a common element that if their parent was an entrepreneur, they've then gone a very similar thing. Now, if you're raising your children in the way that hustle culture isn't a thing, it is, but it doesn't have to be a thing. And you can go to all your kids' events. And this is how I did it. And then they're going to go and shape their children that, and so forth and so forth. It's such an important lesson to learn.
Yeah, it is. It's something I'm trying to get my kids to see now too. And just the other day, my wife goes, "Oh, what are we going to, teach our kids to build for, for their future?" And it's like, well, we'll figure it out when they decide what they want to do. I mean, they're going to have a real estate portfolio. They're going to have businesses to take over if they choose. Or I don't know, maybe we'll just exit and we'll go travel and screw around and they can go build their own stuff.
That's
I don't
right.
know. We'll
You
find
guys
out.
can live the good life. Be
Yeah,
like,
build
I'm
some
done.
memories.
I'm out.
That's right.
Oh, I love that.
So Joe, obviously every business is a little bit different, but I'm curious, in your opinion, are there basic processes of delegating and systemizing for are they the same for every business, or have you had to approach each business a little bit differently?
No, we actually build every business with the exact same, like kind of back office architecture.
Okay.
So every single business is run almost the same.
Okay.
And and here's the thing, maybe we're not doing it right, and like our method doesn't work, but it works for us. And so what I try to do is recognize that because I have one business, Level 9 Virtual, that business happens to be an 8-figure business. We have a lot of access to staff and teams and people who are really, really skilled. We pluck people out and have them work on other companies. And if the back end systems are the same, and I have one business over here and another business over here, I can use the same people basically to do the same things across multiple companies. And that's one of the reasons that we keep kind of the processes and architecture of the businesses exactly the same, even though they might do completely different things. And it's just for those reasons. If I need a designer, every process for how that project is going to go is going to be the same, whether it's a real estate company or it's a virtual assistant company. Or, if there's going to be an operations director who's going to put together, a plan, like she needs to be able to do the same thing in every business. And so that's kind of how we do it.
It seems like a very logical way to approach things.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it just seems really straightforward. You've got the resources there. You can just outsource that work.
That's right. Yeah.
You just keep that lifestyle that you sort of created for yourself, and you just hold that driver's seat.
That's right. I don't know if I could do it any other way. If I want to keep the lifestyle as the core function, I want to be able to do everything. I like to snowmobile. We like to camp. We like to do all that. Can't do that if we're sitting there and working.
Yes, that's true. What I'm interested, since we're sort of touching around parenthood and entrepreneurship, what if there's a person who didn't have that early start that you didn't realize that they were an entrepreneur until they had children? How would you advise them to create a lifestyle that you've created for yourself, to be there for your kids when, they don't want to do the hustle because they don't want to miss those moments with their kids? How do they work around that? Because that's really challenging.
Well, I think the best part is the fact that we are right now in the easiest time in history to build some sort of a side hustle that can overcome your full income in day. Not it. Like I used to think I had this really like great story where I lost an agency, a marketing agency that I owned, and we failed, and I had to close the agency down, and I turned around and I relaunched it, servicing a specific niche. And in 4 months, we went from 0 to 109,000 a month in just 4 months. And it was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Well, it's like now, will we do that? If we don't do that in 30 days, it's probably not going to be a business we keep. If we can't get to 6 figures a month in 30 days, we basically are going to close it down because it's just not going to be worth our time long term. That's how short the window is that it takes to actually make money on the internet. So when somebody says, well, I've got kids and I don't want to be in the hustle culture, you're going to be in the hustle culture to get started. But the speed at which we can create results today is just mind-blowingly fast. And so if you want to get out of your job and you want to have a lifestyle for your family, there is no better time than January of 2026 to do it. And by spring, you could be making $1 million a year, like legitimately. And the craziest part is there's way dumber people than me, and I'm not crazy intelligent. I'm a dropout. There's way dumber people doing it. So first of all, if I can do it, almost anybody can do it. But if there's dumber people doing it, like, oh my gosh, you guys, it's so available to everybody. And the crazy part is most of the tools are free.
Yes,
Yeah,
they
that's
are.
it.
It's so true. Hey, and then
Yeah.
like there's
Oh
so
my
much.
gosh.
We're in the era of information. So if you don't know how to do something, you can look it up pretty quickly, right?
Mhm. Instantly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Instantly.
But so I'm interested. You say that, like, let's say one of our listeners is sitting going, okay, then tell me how, Joe Rare. How am I going to do this? It's January 2026. What business am I starting right now that you think, with your expertise, that's going to get me
Yeah.
there in spring?
So one of the things that I would do is not just listen to me, but there's a guy on YouTube. His name's Chris Corner, I believe. Koerner, I believe. Okay. Chris is, I think they call him the king of side hustles. He's brilliant. And he's built 80 companies doing what I just said. Now, some of his stuff is far more complex, but one of the ones I agree with, and I've had online communication with him that we agree with, is that AI implementation today is unbelievable. So the quick fact is, if you're sitting at home and you're like, I want to build a side business, I don't know anything about it. Awesome. Go to this website, chatgpt.com, sign up for a little free account, and start talking to it. Pick up your phone, use the app, and just ask it questions for hours. So the first line is to go ask questions and figure out, is this viable? What I would say is one of the lowest hanging fruits right this minute is to be an AI implementer for small businesses. What did they say? 70% of small businesses all agree they know they need AI implementation and it would have a huge impact in their business. 70%.
Yeah.
3% are implementing it in a meaningful way in their business.
That's a huge market.
There is an open market, and it can be the simplest thing. It can be, hey, that plumber who never answers the call because his head's under a sink. Yeah, he needs an AI agent, right? Well, so then they go, well, how do I make an AI agent? I don't know how to do that. Okay, so go to that website, chatgpt.com, and say, how do I create this? And it's going to tell you exactly what to do. And you can go to tools like Lovable, or you can go to Replit, and you can just type in there, I need an AI voice agent that will answer the phone for a plumber. And it will give you an MVP
Wow.
in seconds.
Yeah.
And then you can modify it and you need to do some prompting, but all of that's there. It is so easy. And if you're serious about getting out of the grind, hire someone like me. It doesn't have to be me, but it could be me. Hire someone like me to just consult you for a month. And it'll cost you, a few $1,000, but what it'll do is it'll give you that head start to where you go, okay, now I know exactly what I'm doing from, month or day 31 through, 90. And now you have a plan.
And
so
then,
that's
and what's
there's my recommendation.
What's a few thousand for that, coaching and
it's
whatnot
nothing.
when you're looking at $1 million?
Yeah.
Well, it's just leapfrogging. It's leapfrogging. Like, guess how many mistakes we've made, how many failures we've made. I mean, I've spent millions of dollars on every training course program, everything, trained hundreds and hundreds of staff members to go through all this stuff. The amount of failures and money lost, all I would do is I would just help you leapfrog over those losses.
Yep.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so, if you could just cut the corner a little bit, it could, that little couple $1,000 might save you 100,000 down the line.
Totally. Those mistakes and those lessons that you learn as an early entrepreneur and all those,
Yeah.
money can't buy that. But in this instance,
can.
you kind of can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
And the hard
in
part
this
is-
instance, yeah.
And I'm the guy who goes, I should get a coach for this. And then I'm like, no, I'll figure it out. And then after, a 6-figure mistake, I'm like, yeah, I probably would have had to only pay about 10 grand to get the answer to that. And instead I just lost 100. Like, that was pretty stupid. Yeah, that's me. I'm that guy.
The beautiful hindsight of being 2020.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Isn't it always nice to look back?
Yeah, but for the listeners, we are giving you
Yeah.
that 2020 vision right now.
There you go.
That's right.
Get your coaches.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to jump back to outsourcing. So
Okay.
something I'm really curious about is how you physically got started in the outsourcing space and what the actual process of building an outsourcing team is.
Yeah. So again, hindsight would have been really great to have on the front end, but I got started outsourcing like many people who did it early through Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Workweek. So he had talked about a book called The World is Flat. The idea being that we are all accessible to each other because of the internet. So we can just work with anybody anywhere. It doesn't matter. So I started outsourcing when I sat down and decided I was going to build a business page by page out of the 4-Hour Workweek. And so I built an e-commerce business doing that. I sat at my kitchen table. I literally, whatever the page said to do, I executed it, went to the next page, executed it. When it got to the part said, hire a virtual assistant, I was like, okay, this is going to be, I don't know what I'm doing. But it gave a couple examples of places to go. So I went to these websites in India and all these things, hired people, failed, hired people, failed. Over years, I ended up landing in the Philippines. One of the things that I was using virtual assistants for a lot happened to be design, like graphics and websites and content and labels for my products. And what I was having trouble with was finding people who understood like kind of Western branding and Western style of creative. The parts of Asia just don't have that understanding. And so I landed in the Philippines and I happened to come across a couple people who were just like, they were so good. And every time I got on like a Zoom call with them, the guy was wearing like a New York Yankees hat. And I was like, why are you wearing a Yankees hat? You're in the Philippines, and I didn't understand. They're so Western culture. They wear our clothes, they listen to our music, and they watch our movies. So their understanding of what we look for in like a design, I learned that. And so then I said, okay, the Philippines, that makes the most sense for what I need. And then it became, well, how do you find people? And then it became, well, there's online jobs, PH, and then that gets good, bad, and so forth. And we just kind of kept going. I landed a few good people. They started helping me recruit. Then we started hiring from other companies that were agencies, and that worked really, really well. And then one of my VAs came to me one day and said, hey, you keep helping your clients go find team members too. Why don't you just launch a VA company? I was like, I don't really want to do that. And so she said, well, if we run it for you, would you do it? And I was like, okay, well, let's do that. And then 30 days later, we had 30 clients and it was flying.
On that, you said that your VA said if we run it for you.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through a situation where you've got and we're going to get back on track, but this is something that I've never really understood, and this is something I do all the time. When you've got a team of VAs and you've outsourced them to third parties, like to other businesses, that VA is sick or wants to go on leave or something like that.
Yeah.
Do they tell you at your business, or do they go and talk to who they're contracted out to organize that?
Both.
So they go to both.
Yeah. And we have an entire HR team. So we have almost 1,000 VAs. They're all managed by our HR team. And so that's kind of how our process works is we manage the VAs for clients. So we handle payroll, we handle medical, we handle compliance in the Philippines, which is a thing. And, and we do all of that stuff. And part of that process is like, we're going to make sure that things are done right and that people show up, that they have attendance, that they're performing. We track time, we monitor results and performance and output and all those things. So that's like what our company does. So that's how we do it. So you got to tell the HR that, hey, I'm sick today.
Yeah.
If that's the case. And a lot of times what's great is clients will just say, hey, why don't you just try to do the shift, like double up on a shift or maybe work on a weekend if you want to make up the hours.
Yeah.
Because the VA really wants the hours, right? They want to work. And if they don't work, they do get sick leave with us. Like they have days PTO. But if it happens to be like, well, I don't want to use a PTO day, if the client will let them make up the day, and the client just wants the work done. So they're usually more than happy to let them make it up. So that's how we do it.
Got you. Okay. That you've scratched that itch for me. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
So Joe, what would you say has been the biggest bottleneck that you've had to break through in your business life?
Me being in the way. I think entrepreneurs don't understand how much we get in our own way a lot. So when we get going and things are humming, and I've got operations director, sales manager, we've got a CMO, we've got a business, like this is a real deal. And everybody's kind of deployed to do their work. Sometimes I get an idea or I'm watching performance, and instead of just guiding people and telling them where to go, or, hey, here's how we improve, I step in and touch stuff. And then the moment that I touch things, I disrupt everybody, because now they go, well, hold on. Joe's going to handle it because he's here. Right. Or, this. So I step in, and a lot of times I'm the bottleneck. So I would say it's usually me, or somebody requests something from me, but because I'm distracted by a new business or a new project or something else, I don't get it done when they need it. And then they're waiting. So again, I'm the bottleneck. So honestly, the biggest bottleneck is me.
That's really good self-reflection.
It is. And I would say entrepreneurs that have taken the time to reflect will probably all say the same or something similar to what you've just said. That's what I found in talking to a lot of them, is they're like, me, I'm the problem.
It's a control thing to an element, right? It's a control thing. Yeah.
And it's
I coach, and I coach a handful of clients a year, and every time I see it, and then of course, our core business, our core ideal prospect and client is business owners. So we see it all the time. They're working with the VA, and the VA is like, I just want to get the work done. And the business owner's in the middle. And it's like, well, how many messages are you going to send the VA? They can't even get work done because they're talking to you all day. It's like, get out of the way, let everybody do their stuff, and you'll have these results that you love. And a lot of times we don't even realize it as business owners. We think we're helpful, and we just get in everybody's way. We stall things. We slow things down. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
So on that reflection then, looking back, what decision or mistake would you go back and refine or change because it would have accelerated your progress the most?
This one's actually pretty easy. I'll tell what happened, and then the lesson is pretty clear. So I had the person who came to me and said I should start a VA company, right? She was with me from the beginning. And I kept trying to force feed her into an executive role in the company. Where she was, I wanted her to move up because it was logical. It was the next step for her. And I found later that I've done this multiple times, but
hey guys, quick pause to talk about Opus Clip, one of my favorite tools for creating content without the stress. If you've ever spent hours editing videos wishing there was an easier way, Opus Clip is your solution.
Their AI engine takes your raw clips and turns them into share-ready videos in under a minute. No editing skills required, no headaches, no endless hours at your computer.
Seriously, it's like having a professional editor in your pocket. You can create more content, experiment with formats, and share it instantly, all while saving a ton of time.
And if you want to get started with a great sign-up bonus while supporting the show, just use the link in the description.
All right, back to today's episode. We're about to drop more insights you won't want to miss.
I tried to force her into this role, and it was weird because in my mind, I'm like, more money, a better title, more responsibility, all those things. Why don't you want this? And there was always friction in everything. I'm like, hey, you need to replace yourself. Let's hire somebody to take your role. Never an interview, no conversation. I'm like, why is there friction around this? And then one day it all blew up. She quit on the spot while I was on an airplane at 30,000 feet. And I'm watching a Slack conversation happen, and she quit. And I'm like, oh my God. And what was crazy was I thought the whole company was going to fall apart because that's the responsibility that I felt like she held, and that she really was that person. And everybody else stepped into their spot. They did everything that was necessary, and the business never had a hiccup whatsoever, and it skyrocketed in growth.
Okay.
Wow.
So when I look back, I'm like, wow, I didn't understand where people needed to be and what their personal agenda and goals and what they want and where they're best. If I'd have left her there and stopped trying to force her, the friction would have been, it would have been so much better. And we probably would have done fantastic. But I thought I knew better, and I don't. And so that was a big lesson to get. That was a kick in the nuts for sure.
Yeah, wow.
Ouch.
Again, great self-reflection though, that you've taken the ownership there and recognized your role. I mean, that's not everyone does that. So
Yeah.
that's great.
That's so true. And I feel like the people that, and I think this covers all different things in life. The people that can actually self-reflect and be like, me.
Yeah.
They're the ones that learn
going.
from it, progress, and then win.
Yes. It's easier to fail that
Yeah.
way. I think when you can just go, okay, I actually have the power to keep moving here because
That's right.
I had control in that situation. It's not like the world's against me and this other person goes, oh, hey, this was me. I need to pull my big girl or boy pants up and keep going.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, I probably stole this from some entrepreneur elsewhere, but my belief in business is that whether I'm involved in the business or other people run it, if it happens in the business, it's my fault. So it doesn't matter what goes on. Every failure in the company is my fault. Did I not work with them in leadership? Did I not help that person with better marketing strategy? It all comes back to me ultimately. I own the company. So nobody goes anywhere without my approval for them to go there, you know?
Yeah. I love that you've said that because that is something I hear a lot. And because our CEO here actually says exactly the same thing. He's like, if someone fails, that's my fault. That's
right.
because something I've done or not done. It's so refreshing that because I'd never heard anyone say it other than him before. And now you're saying it and I'm like, oh, maybe this is, something that's going to go out in the world and,
A new wave.
Yeah, there's going to be, it'll change cultures within businesses.
Yeah.
With that thought.
Accountability is huge. And one of the things that's funny is entrepreneurs are so controlling for the most part. Delegating is tough because they just want to control the whole situation. It's amazing that you cannot have any more control than the fact that everything's your fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow.
That is the ultimate control mechanism.
Yeah. That is a bit of a mic drop moment.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. Wow.
All right, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
See you guys.
You're good.
And I'm out. Yeah.
Over. We're done.
So on that, every business has a moment where they almost broke, and you've shared a pretty big moment. Someone quitting on Slack while you're, up in the air. That's pretty big. But financially, emotionally, or operationally, was there a moment that sort of stands out for you along your entrepreneurial journey that you think was probably one of your hardest in business?
Oh yeah.
I
There's
thought
probably
that might
a whole
be.
bunch of them. There's probably a whole bunch of them, but one of them has a really good lesson behind it that helped. I had an agency there. I think it was in like the Gary V, the hype days where it was like hustle culture. My kids were still super young and I was trying to get out of it. So here we have this team of 20 something VAs, but we also, because Gary V said you had to have 100 people sitting in an office, right? I got this fancy office space and we had 26 employees and ergonomic chairs and, computers that were just the perfect height and all that stuff. And, my partner in the business was in charge of business development and wasn't developing business. And so we weren't bringing in any new business. And then we had 2 clients that made up about 40% of all of our revenue. And both of them canceled within 2 weeks of each other.
Oh.
And so the company immediately went into the red and I started taking out personal debt to cover payroll because instead of letting people go, I'm an eternal optimist. It is probably a fault to the point. I believe everything will work out. And I mean everything. And so I'm like, all we need to do is replace the revenue, right? New clients, like, let's just go. Like, no big deal. Personal credit, pay it off later. No big deal. A friend of mine basically said like, "Hey, I was in your shoes. Just close down your agency." And I'm like, "No. We're gonna get it back." And he, no, close it down. He goes, "Seriously, like what you're doing, your model, it's not gonna work." He goes, "Close it down, restart, just use, outsource, one niche, one product or service, just do that." And I'm like, "No. And so we compared notes. What are you doing in revenue today versus what I'm doing? And we were doing like double what he was doing. So I'm like, no, I'm going to keep this. I'm going to save it. 6 months go by, 8 months go by. I see him being interviewed on a podcast. His business had grown 8x in the same window, and my revenue was flat.
Oh.
We never regained. So for 6-7 months or whatever it was, I was paying payroll on personal debt, and he was scaling, and he had a few people and I had an army. And I realized like, oh my gosh, sometimes I need to cut the ego piece of it. And I really need to, it was the ego piece of it. So I literally, that day I saw him on this interview, I texted him and I just said, and this is back in like 2017, 2018. I texted him, I said, "What did you do?" And his only response back was, "You didn't listen to me, did you?" And I was like, "Nope." 2 days later, I shut down the entire agency. I relaunched it, and that's when I went 0 to 100 grand a month in 4 months. And 6 months after that, all of my debt was paid off. We were in the black, like personally, business wise. And then everything from that moment, almost everything that we've touched, like kind of turns to gold. It's been successful. And so when I look back and I'm like, I can't let that thing go. If I would have done it on my own without the pain, I probably wouldn't have learned the lesson to do what we've done today.
So we talked a little bit how you find yourself and other entrepreneurs being the roadblock within their businesses. So, and as I said, we talked to a lot of founders on the show, and we've done a lot of shows. So we hear a lot of different answers about the growing pains of becoming a leader rather than a doer. Now you've got, your virtual assistants and things like that. So that aside, and not being the roadblock aside, what did you personally have to stop doing or start doing to become that leader your businesses actually needed?
The first thing I had to give up was fulfillment, right? So like so in my agency as an example, I'm really a marketer. I like sales. I like that. I like putting these ideas together and going, hey, here's idea to a sale. So the idea, you probably heard the book 0 to 1, right? I love building businesses 0 to 1. And then at 1, I'm like, cool, you take it and run it. I don't want to do it anymore. But I used to get caught in the weeds to where it's like, I want to do the sales. I should be talking to the customers. And sales was the last thing that I was hung up on. That I was like, hey, I built this business and people talk to me. I close deals. Look at this closing percentage. Again, ego, right? Look at this closing percentage. If I get somebody on the phone, like, I'm closing 8 out of 10. Like I'm that good. And it's ridiculous. Sales was what I gave up last. And the moment I gave it up and realized if I can get somebody who's half as good as me, but I have 3 of them, now that's 150% of my production. Yeah, I think I'll do that. The moment that I stepped out and put other people in place, I was like, oh my God, like business is so easy. Get out of the way. Like, dude, like these guys, the 3 of them combined do way more than I ever could. So what was I doing? That was the part that I had the biggest struggle letting go of was sales.
And is that partly, I know even for my personal entrepreneurial journey, like when you come up with an idea, that's such an exciting time. And like, there's so much vision and dreaming happening from that 0 to 1, right?
Yeah.
So how do you personally let go? Like what, do you have like a ritual or some sort of mental thing that you do to allow yourself to go, okay, I have to let the baby fly with these other people, because that's a big thing, especially for people who are in the early phase.
if you're in the early phase, you have to go back to your why. So like, what's the reason that we're even building the business? What's the reason? If it's like, hey, I just need to make some money, then guess what? You should probably be doing the sales, as an example, right? Like you should probably be the one doing it, because nothing's going to get you a higher yield from just that one-to-one standpoint than you doing it. Nobody's going to do what you can do. So if that's the goal, but if the goal is I have a lifestyle for my family that we want. So every decision that I make, whether it's there's a real estate opportunity and I need to go fly to wherever to go look at it, but I'm going to miss my daughter's like cheer competition.
Yeah.
I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that deal. And maybe the deal will come back up later and then it'll work out. But I am so fast to say no to everything else if it doesn't align with why I'm actually building the business. So my method for letting go is as simple as this. Does it align and give me the outcome that I'm after? Period. Another project, another idea doesn't necessarily do it. Like I had to let go of a couple over the Christmas and break because I was tied down in one project and I'm like, this is enough. Otherwise I can't do the Christmas thing. I can't be busy with my kids. I'm gonna be distracted. And so what I decided to do was let those other things go and just say, hey, we're just going to focus on one thing for now. And I'll dabble in it over the holiday, spend time with the kids, and it'll all be great.
So would you say the letting it go is probably the biggest structure that's made the single largest difference in buying back your time? Or is there a hire or a system that you've implemented that helps you buy back that time?
I think it's a combination of your team plus your processes.
Okay.
Saying no to a whole bunch of stuff helps because you don't get bogged down. However, like I mentioned Chris Corner earlier, he actually, listening to him, I think he was on the Diary of a CEO or something, and listening to him actually say, I always get so much crap for this. Everybody's like, how do you have all these businesses? And I'm like, they're like, just imagine how big one would be if you focused solely on that. And I'm like, you're right. You're 100% right. That company would be so much bigger than it is, but I wouldn't be enjoying myself.
Yeah, be like boring.
And that's a difference. I enjoy the dabbling and the playing and the trying this new thing. But what's kind of cool is sometimes trying something over here plays back into my other business over here. And then it's like, oh, now that's a tool. You guys go run with it. And it works out. So I would say it's kind of a combination of all of it. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like a great little feeding trough for someone who's entrepreneurial because, entrepreneurs can never sit still. There's always an idea brewing. And so instead of going, oh, I'm going to make this the biggest thing ever, I'm going to make it big enough to suit my lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to dabble in this other thing and these and this.
Yeah.
And it just feeds you that. I love that. That is just, that speaks to me.
And right
I feel
now,
like,
the sad part
you
is,
made Kalina very happy.
Yeah. I'm like, oh.
well, it was funny because I felt like for one of the first times in a long time, I mean, you look at a guy like Elon Musk who has his hands in all of these different projects, but he's just built different. And I'm not that smart by any stretch. It's, but so hearing somebody say it, like, it's totally great to dabble in a whole bunch of stuff and enjoy it.
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, you're right. It is. And I'm going to dabble more and I'm going to do all that stuff that I come up with in my head. And most of it, I'm going to shut down and fail and it's not going to work out. And that's okay.
Yeah. Say you tried.
Yeah.
And not all your eggs
That's
are in
right.
one basket, right? So,
Mm.
so let's jump to some, talk about systems.
Okay.
What system, structure, or hire made the single biggest difference in buying back your time, would you say?
Operations. Well, no, hold on. Two things. So there's a difference between business time and my personal life. So I have an executive assistant who connected and she was mentioned, by your guys' producer who hopped on, right? Martina. I don't check my own email ever.
Yeah.
Never.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I get in the morning and in the evening, I get Slack notifications of anything that I have to pay attention to. She is me for anything else that exists. I do not check my own email. So if you can imagine how many times you pick up your phone to filter the emails. I got all the, the spam, get rid of all the stuff I don't need. So then I can go back and read the good stuff later. Then you go back and read the good stuff and you're responding all that time right there. This is another, I don't have to do that. So when I get up in the morning and I'm with my kids and then we're doing whatever we're doing with family, like I'm there, I'm present and I'm with them. In the business side of things, my operations director, greatest hire of all time. All time. She runs the show and she runs all of the companies by herself. Not by herself. She's got a team, but she's in the Philippines. She's in the Philippines.
Interesting. What point, with all your plates spinning and all your different businesses and all of that's happening, at what point do you go, I need an operations manager? Is this something, because a lot of people, I was speaking to someone quite a while ago and they said the same thing as you. It was the biggest, thank God I've done this moment.
Yeah.
That they had as a company. And it's one of the biggest things most businesses really hold off on doing. At what point do you think, for our listeners, that this is the time you should be looking at bringing in an operations manager?
Okay. So if you can afford it, sooner is better.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you're doing sales and you're doing your own fulfillment of service or whatever it is, right? And you can have somebody who's your operations director. There's a benefit to doing it super early because they build it with you.
Yeah.
So they know all the skeletons by the time the company actually becomes successful and you have departments or staff and you have teams and so forth. They've already seen it all. So they know what it was like in the beginning when it was you stressing out, freaking out, and they're trying to help you out. So that would be, if you can afford it and you have the finances to do it from day one. Bring that person in. Okay, so that's that. If you don't, and you're kind of like, I got to build as I go, well, then you do it once there's something to manage, once there's an operation to manage. So you think, okay, we've got fulfillment going. So like our process for building a business from zero is pretty straightforward. We have outreach, figure out how we're going to go get a customer, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's cold email. Back in the day, it was super easy. It was, Facebook Messenger and just bomb everybody's DMs, right? We did that. We just have a VA do it. And they just pound the DM. They do that. They tee up a conversation. I took over and did the sale. Once I had a customer, it's like, okay, now we have to fulfill. Well, now I have one or two people who can do all of the fulfillment. And then they do that. Great. Customers handled. Outreach is starting to get me more opportunities. I'm just closing sales, passing them off, closing sales. Once you get a few clients going and all of a sudden it's like the fulfillment team's kind of busy and they got to take care of people. Now we got to have some sort of reporting or tell people how good we are. You need somebody to be able to be the hub with all these different spokes. That would be the second kind of point when I would say it's important to do it.
Great. Thank you. Because it is.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
It's really something that a lot of people are like, no, we don't have one. And then a lot of people, others that we speak to, are like, no, you need to do this. It would be a massive turning point for you. So it's like, it's good hearing the deep explanation of why that will be a big turning point for each business. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it.
Right. So we're getting close to wrapping up. But before we are, I've just got a couple more questions. So what would you say is the most overrated advice that you hear in business or marketing or the marketing space that actually keeps people stuck working more?
Ooh, okay. So this one might not align exactly how you think the conversation was going to go, but this happens a lot in business. And I think that it actually makes people stuck in their business, is that they are told to do what with all of the profits of the business? Reinvest.
Yep.
Everybody's told, grind it out, reinvest every dollar you can back in the business. And I'm like, no, you take a big fat chunk of that and you put it into your personal wealth bucket and you do things that can help you create an asset outside of your business. And that's why I've been so heavy into real estate. So I love business because it's like a sport. It's a hobby. It's something fun that I love to do. It funds my ability to buy real estate. Because at the end of the day, I own dirt and, homes and properties and all that. What's that?
They're not making more. They can't make more.
They're not making more. And,
Yeah.
but what's interesting is that somebody's always going to need a place to live. Somebody doesn't always have to buy an AI tool. Somebody doesn't always need to buy a virtual assistant, but they always will need a roof over their head. And so 15 years from now, when my kids want to be able to be involved in something, the most valuable thing that I can pass down to them is going to be real estate. It's not a business that they have to grind their face off to make it successful and keep it afloat when the economy change, markets change, all of that, trends change, all that stuff. So I would tell people, you build your business so that it helps you buy assets so that the business doesn't matter anymore. Like our cash flow from real estate covers everything we could ever want and more. The businesses are a bonus now, but yet the businesses are the funding source that got us the real estate. So that's what I would say. So that's probably not the direction you thought it would go.
No, that's great though.
Yeah.
I'm pro real estate, so I love
different.
that answer.
Okay, so now obviously this is the business game. So if someone was running a business like yours, but 2 or 3 years behind where you are and asked you for the shortcut to success, what is the cheat code you'd give them?
Get out of the way. Put people in place to take those roles that don't allow you to work on the business. If you're in the business, you'll never catch up. That's a fact.
Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur and you work inside your business, there's no chance you can catch the entrepreneur who works on their business. There's no way. Because I can make more moves faster than you could even think exist because you're blinded by the fact that you've got responsibilities that actually move the needle. I don't have responsibilities that move the needle. I don't do any of it. And so I think that would be my biggest piece of advice right there, actually. It's the first time I've ever given that one, but that's a good one. I like it.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Put it on your black whiteboard.
Yeah, on your black
right.
whiteboard.
It's digital. It's digital.
Yeah. Okay, so we like to play a little game with our guests at the end of each episode, just to get to know you a little bit more personally. So we're going to throw 10 quick fire questions at you. Just answer as quick as you can. Whatever
Are you
comes
sweating?
to mind. Yeah.
Start sweating. These are
Little
hard
bit.
hitting.
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
The speed part of it gets me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
go.
No, that's fair. All right. What's your coffee order?
I don't drink coffee.
There you
So
go.
I drink matcha.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
What was
Yeah.
your first job?
Car wash at a Ford dealership.
Early riser or night owl?
Night owl.
Office or work from home?
Work from home.
What's your book or podcast recommendation?
Oh, man, that's a good one. Book right now, I would say Built to Sell is probably the book. Right now, I like The Diary of a CEO for a podcast.
In the
Yeah.
business game. Duh.
In the
Goes
business
without,
game.
goes without saying.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Try not to plug you so much.
I know.
Okay, this is a bit of a hard hitting one. Android or iPhone?
iPhone,
God, we can be friends.
Best
Yeah.
investment you've ever made?
real estate.
Your current go-to productivity hack?
I don't have one. Yeah, I don't think I really have one, to be honest. I just kind of do my thing. Yeah, a lot of people right now are doing the coffee thing, the caffeine, nicotine, all that stuff. I don't do any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
One piece of tech you couldn't live without.
My iPhone.
Yeah.
'Cause it has
Fair.
everything.
Common answer.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing what you do now, what career would you choose?
Sales.
Oh, yeah. That's.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a no-brainer. If I had
Yeah.
thought a bit more about
Yeah,
your
it's gotta
love
be sales.
and passion that came through the screen at us when you spoke about sales.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, really quick, just to touch on that is like one of the cool things about sales is the moment you know how to sell something like things and well, you will never go hungry.
Agreed.
That's a pretty common
it.
answer, though. A lot of the guests
Yeah.
say, just learn sales.
The shift to
Sales.
sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, fastest, highest leverage. Yeah, that's it.
So I have one last question for you.
Okay.
If business really is a game, Joe Rare, what's your definition of winning?
Time. Having
Nice.
time freedom. That's
Yeah.
it. Time freedom.
So
Yeah.
good.
Love that. Love
Yeah.
that. Did you like how I was able to drop in your full name there? I've been
love
waiting
it.
all episode.
You
for
can tell
that.
she's been waiting. Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's my time to shine.
That's great. I love it.
Well, this has been so great, Joe. Thank you so much for your time and all the knowledge you've shared with us on this episode. I have taken away a lot, just personally. What about
Yeah,
you, Jane?
same. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Love it.
you bring such a great energy. I hope our listeners enjoyed it as much as we did. I'm sure they are. So thank you.
We'll have all
You
your
got it.
details down in the links below and on the podcast and all the
Perfect.
places.
Yeah, and just for our listeners, where can they find you and your business online if they wanted to get in touch?
Easiest place is just go to joerare.com, and all of my businesses are listed there. It's kind of a, hey, this is who I am website. Yeah, and if they need me, Joe at joerare.com.
Amazing. Thank you so
Amazing.
much.
Thanks so much,
Yeah, you got it.
Joe Rare.
You
All
got
right,
it.
that's
Thanks
all
a
we've
ton.
got time for. Wherever you're listening from, thanks so much for joining us here on The Business Game, and see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to The Business Game.
If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to stay connected.
A big thank you to our major sponsor, Tyler Offshore, for powering today's episode.
And join us again on the next episode of The Business Game,
A podcast that moves the needle.